Hello and welcome to my studio. I want to talk about making your own comic biography. If you printed off mine, you know that it's in 2 sheets and you fold them like this in half. And since we're going to stack them up together, one's going to be outside, one's going to be inside. And you might have gotten yours double-sided, but this way you can lay them in and you have a little comic about my life. And you can see here's one I tried coloring and tried filling it in as I listened and finished the back. And then I thought, well, I'll start coloring it in a crazy way. So here I am with measles and all different color skins, purple first, then brown. So the first thing we need to do to make your biography is to fold a sheet of paper in half like this. And you know how to do this. You fold it in the middle, matching the corners. And the one trick about folding is that you want to match the corners and then you want to run your finger down the side so that you have a nice crisp fold. And the best thing to do is to flatten it and then fold it back on itself so you have a nice flexible fold. That really helps. And I made one with a little mark in the middle so you could see that the fold will be right down the middle. Now, the next thing you would do is get right to the point. Let's make my life story. And we're going to need a line for your name and a line for the date you were born and a line for today's date. And then we're going to have a big square down here for your arrival. So I'm going to use a big fat marker so that you can see it, but I would just write it. On this first one, let's not worry about being too perfect. Just write it quickly with yourself, your big fat marker or a little marker. We want first for your name. You don't have to write name, but this is to remind you what goes there. And here's when you were, your birth. Your birth date will go there. And then we're going to say birth to today. So that's where you'll put today's date. So, and then we're going to draw a big square just for day 1. And we're going to put 1 there. Now we're going to have 10 panels in this comment. So we're going to turn over to the back and we're going to go ahead and do the back. So it's going to look something like that. And it's today, I, and dot, dot, dot. You know that how it means like, oh, and the next thing that happens is coming. And we'll put number 10 here and we'll draw a big giant square for the last panel of our life story. And I'm going to write at the bottom, that's the story up to today. And so we have a little booklet and inside is blank. Now you want to get another piece of paper and we're going to fold it in half again because we're going to make the inside sheet. Now the inside sheet is going to look something like this. But to get our blocks kind of the same size, we're going to fold it. And here's what we're going to do. We folded it in half, and we're going to bend it back, and we're going to make that nice flexible fold. Then we're going to take the end, and we're going to fold it right against that nice crisp fold. Once again, I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to fold it back. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other end, so that if I were to make dotted lines on the fold, it would look first like this. We have one fold, the middle fold, and then at the end, it looks like this. We have 3 folds. And then I'm going to take, and I'm going to fold it the other way, and I'm going to carefully match the corners. The better you match the corners, the better nice squares you'll get. So open it up like that. And I'm going to fold it back on itself too to make a nice flexible fold. So if I were to draw dotted lines along all the folds, it would look like this. And you can see that I have 8 blocks. So I'm going to now draw a block in each one. And this would be block number 2, because remember we have 1 on the front, and this is block number 3, and this is block number 4. And I'm putting them towards the top, so I'm going to have room for some of the lines on the bottom. And this is block number 5. And then this is block number 6. And this is block number 7. And this is block number 8. And this, of course, is block number 9. Now you can see I haven't worried too much about making them nice and the same or anything, because I'm just fooling around here. Now, I decided I need to tell you a confession, and that is that I'm not a very good drawer, so I'm always messing up. So I need a way to make things that I can make it over and over again. I showed you this one that I made, where I have all these nice little drawings and I look like I'm a really good drawer, but here's the truth. I start out with pencil, and then I go to some scribbles in ink, trying to figure out how to do it. And then I make them on little pieces of paper so that if one is good, I can keep that, but I can throw away the other one. So you can see I just keep going and going, and this is only a few of the drafts because I'm not very good at this. So here's what I do sometimes. I draw the squares. You can actually go over them, looking at the shadow at a window, and I try to figure out how I am going to make this. And I put my scissors down. Here are my scissors. So sometimes I draw around the blocks and I cut them out, and then I put them down here. And so I could draw no blocks there. I could just draw them on another scrap so that I can put them down. And that way, if I start and I don't like it, I can just take that one away. And if I like it, I can take my glue stick and I can glue it down and make it stick in place. Okay, so now we have our 2 parts so that we can make my life story. Now, it turns out I already made my life story. You know that, because you might have listened to it on my website. So I decided, okay, I'll make the life story of our first cat, Momo, who is quite a tough character. And so first thing I did, of course, I have to make a little tiny sketch that's not good at all. It's just getting my ideas together. I'm going to need 8 things that happen from being born to, in this case, when the cat died, because he lived a long and very adventurous life. So I sat up there at breakfast and I thought, okay, he was born, and then he moved to our house, and he was such a bossy kitten, and then he started bringing mice to our doorstep, and then one night his ear got bit off, and then what about the raccoon? I remember that. And then when our neighbor moved in, I remember what happened then, and then the chipmunk. I completely forgot about the chipmunk in my suitcase, and then, okay, so then I go get a piece of paper, and I start making a more formal list of what happened. And you can see right away that I had 1 through 10, and we have number 1, and we have number 10. But then I changed the numbers because I remembered something else. So now I had to put when he was born and when he moved to our house all in one, so that then I could go to the bossy and attacking ankles, but at night he was so sweet, and he'd sleep with our daughter Kella. And then he grew up into a teenager, and his ear got bit off one night. He had a big chunk out of it when he came back in the morning. He was really a tough guy. And then bringing the mice and laying them on our doorstep. And then one day he cornered a baby raccoon that fell down the chimney and crawled into our basement. Can you believe that? So how we got the baby raccoon out of the basement is this little story I remember. And then we had a new neighbor, and he moves in, and he thinks that the new neighbor, he thinks he is his mother. And he starts going and visiting him every day and chewing on his pants just like he was nursing a mother. It was the craziest thing. And he spent the rest of his life thinking that our new neighbor, Ian, was his mother. Then he brought let's see, the chipmunk, I told you about that, and I was getting ready to leave for a trip, and he brought the chipmunk in just like he would bring in a mouse, only the chipmunk wasn't dead. And the chipmunk sprung to life and crawled under the dishwasher. And I was supposed to catch a taxi to go to the airport to go visit a school. And then he got sick, and then he died, and that is where we buried him, under the beautiful tree where the yellow leaves are. So that's the story that I'm going to make, and I'm going to try to show you that in the next video. Let's stop for now.